It's so good to see you. This is Avery After Dark, and I'm your host, Avery Ross. Boy, oh boy, do I have a story for you. It's one of the scariest, most disturbing hauntings in history. The Ammons haunting in Gary, Indiana. It got so bad that police, medical professionals, and the government got involved. We have so much to get into today, including official police photos from the haunting. I've got chills already. Just trust me. It's about to get really eerie. If you love mysteries and scary stories, Avery After Dark is the place for you. Subscribe to this channel, give this video a like, and turn on post notifications. I upload new videos every week, just for you. And let me know where in the world you're watching from. Are you ready? Let's get into it. At the center of our story is a woman named LaToya Ammons. In the fall of 2011, LaToya was looking for a new home. For LaToya, her mother Rosa Campbell, and LaToya's 3 children, ages 7, 9, and 12. And a rental became available, 3860 Carolina Street in Gary, Indiana. This is a town different from the rest. Sadly, it's been named the most miserable town in America. Today, Gary is a desolate ghost town. Gary, Indiana was once a booming metropolis, big-time steel town. But with the decline of the American steel industry in the 1960s and 70s, jobs vanished, families fled, and was known for having one of the highest homicide rates in the United States. Locals say it's haunted, and it has a very eerie feel, not just by ghosts, but by what was lost. Today, entire blocks stand abandoned. Schools sit frozen mid-lesson. I'm talking books open, chalk still on the board. So just to give a little backdrop as to what was going on in the town at the time of this haunting. When touring the rental on Carolina Street, LaToya and her mother, Rosa, felt this was going to be really great. It was a good size, sat on a quiet street of small one-story homes. So in November 2011, LaToya, Rosa, and the 3 children moved into the house. Almost immediately, things started to get weird. And it started with these flies that would cling to their screened-in porch. They were almost like swarms or clouds. They would kill these flies, but they would always come back. And this was also odd because it's November. It was quite cold out. This just didn't make sense. Then LaToya and her mother, Rosa, began to hear footsteps. Late at night, they reported hearing movement coming from downstairs in the basement. According to the family, it sounded like someone was slowly creeping up the basement stairs into the kitchen. LaToya and her mom would go and check, was this one of the kids? But there was never anyone there. And they'd hear that creak of the door opening between the basement and the kitchen. They don't really understand what's going on, so they even tried locking the door that connected the basement to the kitchen, thinking that'll put it into that. But to their surprise, they continued to hear the footsteps. This house was built in 1956, so it really wasn't super old, but hey, maybe this was just weird new house sounds. But that optimism was short-lived, as things were about to take a really creepy turn. One night, Rosa woke up and sees a shadowy figure pacing in their living room. It looked like a man walking back and forth. She is totally startled and gets up to investigate. And she finds large, wet boot prints on the floor. And the shadowy figure disappeared, nowhere to be found. So was this a ghost? Was their house haunted? All of this seems to really start to take a toll on the family. 4 months into moving into the rental home on Carolina Street, the family said an event changed everything. According to reports, in March of 2012, LaToya and family members witnessed LaToya's 12-year-old daughter levitating over her bed. The family members, horrified, reportedly prayed until she finally came back down. Family that witnessed this was actually so scared it was reported they ran out of the house. And at that point, LaToya and Rosa feel they really need help. The children began to speak in these unnatural, deep voices that didn't seem like their own. They were being physically assaulted. Rose is saying she remembers telling her daughter, "We need help. We need to talk to someone who knows how to deal with it." So they contact local churches. But unfortunately, they said most refused to listen. According to a report in the Indy Star, one church official did tell the family something. They said their house did have spirits in it and told them to clean the house with bleach and ammonia and then use oil to draw crosses on every door and every window. And as time progressed, things were getting worse and worse for the family. Ammons described seeing her children levitating above their beds, being physically thrown out of rooms, and becoming hurt from flying objects, and continuing to speak in those really haunting, deep, unnatural voices. They would whisper really horrible things, and when they spoke, their eyes would actually bulge, and their mouths would reportedly curl up into these really horrible, unnatural grins. This was looking like possession, and LaToya said she started feeling lightheaded, the strange sensation like she wasn't in control of her body. Whatever entities were in the home, they were terrorizing the Ammons family. Eventually, they made contact with two clairvoyants who told the family something pretty alarming. The family was notified that the house wasn't only haunted, it reportedly had 200 spirits inside. 200? Really? Okay, at that point, you're outnumbered. And when LaToya and Rosa asked, well, what do we do about that? The clairvoyants told them to move. You don't want to stick around and find out what's going to happen here. This was pretty bad. They know there is something supernatural going on. This was unlike anything they had ever experienced. They also said the youngest son was seeing and speaking to another boy in the home that no one else could see. The daughter was hearing voices, and these voices were saying all kinds of really haunting things, including that death was near and that she would never see her family again. One clairvoyant that Ammons consulted told her to set up an altar in the basement. So she did. She draped a white sheet over a little table, placed a white candle, along with a Jesus statue, a Mary statue, and a Joseph statue, and opened up her Bible to Psalm 91. LaToya said she put on a white t-shirt and put a white scarf around her head and burned sage throughout the house. She said in turn, nothing happened for 3 days. It really seemed to calm down. But then it ramped back up. The family reported that demons were possessing both LaToya and her children. Now, Rosa, on the other hand, told a reporter that the demons did not affect her because she was born with quote-unquote protection from evil. So all this is going on, and in turn, the children are missing a lot of school. So they make a decision to take a trip and visit their family doctor, wanting to see what he thinks. And this is where things get even crazier. Dr. Jeffrey Anawekwu. Ammons explains to the doctor what's going on, what's happening to her children, and how they're speaking in these unnatural voices. Their eyes are bulging out. There's just something really wrong here. And in turn, the doctor said the situation was bizarre, saying, quote, 20 years, and I've never heard anything like that in my life. I was scared myself when I walked into the room, end quote. According to reports, in his notes, the doctor wrote delusions of ghosts in home, hallucinations, and history of ghost at home. And then the visit takes an even more disturbing turn. Rosa Campbell said that LaToya's son began cursing at the doctor in these demonic voices. Then medical staff said they saw the youngest son be lifted and thrown into the wall with nobody touching him. This is according to a report released from the Department of Child Safety, DCS. Nobody, including the doctor, nurses, knew what was going on, so someone calls 911 from the doctor's office. Minutes later, 8 police officers arrived along with several ambulances. The doctor telling reporters he had no idea what was going on. This was just so disturbing. Her sons are then taken to Methodist Hospital campus in Gary. And from here, the Indiana Department of Child Services really gets involved in the case and investigates LaToya Ammons for possible child abuse or neglect. There was an unidentified caller that said Ammons might have a mental illness and that the children were performing for their mother. This got assigned to a case manager named Valerie Washington. So she comes and does the initial investigation, and in her intake officer's report, she notes that the hospital examined LaToya Ammons and her children and found them to be healthy. And additionally, a hospital psychiatrist concluded that LaToya Ammons was of sound mind. And while the case manager is speaking with LaToya Ammons, the 7-year-old son began growling with his teeth and his eyes reportedly rolled back into his head. He then, quote, locked his hands around his older brother's throat and refused to release him until the adults pried his hands open, end quote. Washington's DCS report also stated that the 9-year-old had a, quote, weird grin, end quote, and walked backward up a wall to the ceiling, flipping over Rosa Campbell, landing on his feet, never letting go of his grandmother's hand. There was another nurse present at the time, corroborating this. Nurse and DCS caseworker were both so terrified. Reports stated they ran out of the room. So what was going on here? At this point, we have case managers, doctors, nurses, medical professionals who are all at a loss, saying this was unlike anything they had ever seen or experienced. Some believing that this had to be supernatural, but others weren't so sure. DCS eventually takes emergency custody of the Ammons' 3 kids without a court order. According to official police reports, many had their doubts about what was going on. But DCS determined that the children were somehow in danger. Ammons was heartbroken, telling the Indianapolis Star, quote, we'd already been through so much and fought so hard for our lives. It was obvious we were a team and we were beating it, whatever we were fighting. We made it through together as a team and they separated us, end quote. So LaToya is separated from her children, and DCS does something. They invite the police department to their house to do a walkthrough. And while inside with Rosa Campbell, the children's grandmother, LaToya's mother, the police officers, they experienced some pretty strange stuff. According to police reports, 2 Hammond police officers began experiencing technical malfunctions with their radios, got a recording of a ghostly voice saying, hey. During another visit, they said they saw this strange oily substance dripping from the blinds. Now it is time we take a look at some of the photos from this case. And I'm warning you, creepy. This photo is haunting, taken of the house when there was supposedly no one inside. You can see a figure standing on the porch. Again, there was apparently no one present at the time, so who is this? Next up, another official photo from the Hammond Police Department. These are the blinds in the home. And as you can see in the photo, there's this strange, weird substance covering them. No one was ever able to figure out what this substance was. It was like the house was leaking. Next up, another photo taken by officers of the basement steps. This entire area was believed to be the focal point of the haunting, with a lot of bad energy and activity taking place around the steps. And finally, we get to this photo, and there's a lot of debate about what you're seeing here. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts. An official police photo of the basement stairs, where in the top right, many say they can see the image of a demonic face. Again, there was a lot of focus on the basement and those steps because there was just so much creepy activity going on around there. But I gotta know, do you see the face? To me, the first photo of the house and the figure standing on the porch, that's the creepiest. That one takes the cake for me. But I gotta know, which photo creeped you out the most? Let me know in the comments. According to the local newspaper, Gary Police Captain Charles Austin, with more than 35 years of experience, said he was convinced and described himself as a believer after visiting the house and interviewing LaToya and her family. There are almost 800 pages of reports on this case, dozens of interviews with police officers, DCS, doctors, nurses, psychologists, family members, and a Catholic priest. In April 2012, a hospital chaplain contacted Reverend Michael Maginot, a local priest who came to investigate. He wrote a request to a bishop to perform an exorcism on LaToya, and that's exactly what happened. He performed a small exorcism with a DCS case manager and 2 police officers present. This place became known as the Demon House. The Reverend went on to perform a total of 3 exorcisms on LaToya Ammons. And it seemed after the 3rd exorcism, something really changed. One of Maginot's associates burned a piece of paper with the demon's name on it, and after that, LaToya Ammons started feeling normal, began to feel like herself again. Reverend Maginot stated that he was convinced demons were tormenting the family. This was demonic. After this, LaToya and Rosa Campbell moved back to Indianapolis. After that, she regained custody of her 3 children in that November 2012, and Reverend Maginot actually blessed her new home in Indianapolis. In interviews, the family saying they were happy to put all of that behind them. But what about the house? This case was widely publicized, and later the home was purchased by paranormal investigator Zach Baggins. Many who investigated the house believed that the paranormal activity was coming from the basement, specifically underneath the stairs. And as we know, that's really how the haunting began. One of the first things the family experienced was hearing those footsteps, like someone was creeping up the basement steps and entering the kitchen. In an official request for dismissal of wardship, which was filed by the DCS in January 2013, it was said that LaToya Ammons and her children had made progress and participated in in-home-based therapy. The report also stated that the family had not experienced any issues with any demonic presences or spirits in their home in Indianapolis. In 2016, the Demon House in Indiana was demolished, but Zach Baggins saved one of the pieces of the basement for his Las Vegas museum. LaToya, Rosa, and the 3 children had no desire to ever come back to the house or the land. The family continues to attend church on Sundays on a regular basis. This is just one of the creepiest cases I've come across. What are your thoughts? I'm just so glad that the family is out of that house and is doing well. Thanks so much for joining me for this episode. Subscribe to this channel, give this video a like, and turn on post notifications so you never miss an episode. Next time, I've got so much more mystery and eeriness coming your way. Until then, check out these videos. You could pick that one. It's a pretty spooky one. Or that one. It's a pretty creepy one. Which one are you gonna pick?